Thank you very much. Good morning, Your Highness, Your Excellency, distinguished guests. It's a pleasure to be here to share Singapore's experience. And Singapore's water and energy story actually took off since its independence, after its independence. And I'm glad to say that I was born 2 years before Singapore's independence in Singapore. So their story is as old as my story, or rather the other way around, my story is as old as Singapore's story. First of all, my sincere appreciation to SEWA, PUB Singapore, and Energy Market Authority of Singapore for having such excellent websites that I have gained much knowledge from and everyone can gain knowledge from. They have openly shared so much knowledge. It's a really beautiful websites. Now, just a little reflection. One, of course, we know Sharjah and Singapore. Our numbers, our statistics somehow are inverse in the sense that Sharjah has a larger land area of about 2,590 square kilometers with a population of 1.4 million people. On the other hand, Singapore is a tiny island with 720 square kilometers only, but it has to support 5.6 million population. But somehow our challenges are same. Bringing water and energy to every home, every person in a cost-effective manner, efficient manner, and with reasonable cost to them. Just for all, in fact, for all nations, demand for water continues with economic development, population growth, although it's a little sad to say that Singapore's population has stopped growing actually. It's minimal growth. And for that, of course, water infrastructure, energy infrastructure has to be planned well ahead of time. And we are looking in Singapore at least next 40 years or beyond. Just a little projections for us. Currently, domestic demand is about 45% of our water supply, whereas non-domestic demand is about 55% of our water consumption. But this is set to increase significantly in about 12 years. Until 2030, non-domestic demand is going to increase to 60%, domestic will be 40, and 30 years after that, that means 42 years from now, domestic demand will be 30%, but non-domestic will be 70. This doesn't mean that we are consuming less as individual households, but because of economic growth, economic activity is demanding a lot of water. I'll come back to this slide later, basically our supply of water and where it goes to. Now, Mr. Arshad from Singapore had mentioned that Singapore has no resources. But currently Singapore is internationally recognized as an emerging global hydro hub, a leading center for business opportunities and expertise in water. It has got a very holistic approach to water, collect every drop of water, reuse water endlessly, and desalinate water. See, elsewhere water is measured in terms of gallons, liters. In Singapore, we measure it by drops. Every drop is precious. Again, this is basically the water cycle, which I guess everyone knows, from the sea to the treatment plant to the households, and then back to treatment again. We retreat water, and that's where our new water is. I'll give you some percentages later of how much new water we are producing. So over the last 50 years, we have built a very robust and diversified supply of water, and we call that our 4 national taps. Yes, we originally started with a pipeline from Malaysia. We imported water from Malaysia, and that was not a very sovereign thing to do, not healthy, not secure. And currently, our tap water meets WHO guidelines, and you can, in Singapore, drink the tap water from the tap itself. You do not have to boil it or filter it further. Now, our 4 taps, what are our 4 taps? One is, of course, the traditional source, our local catchment area. Now, even then, although Singapore is very small and most of the water, rainfall drops into the sea, but we try to catch as much as we can. We try to do all we can to use the water that lands on our land. And so Singapore actually cleaned up all the pollutive industries, such as farmings and all that, which were polluting the groundwater. And now our own catchment area has increased from half of the land surface of Singapore to 2/3. And we keep on completing, making creating reservoirs from the water bodies that we have. We recently completed the Marina, Punggol, and Serangoon reservoirs. And the Marina Reservoir is what we call a reservoir in the city. It's basically at the river mouth of Singapore. The river a dam has been put. There's a dam here, we call it the Marina Barrage, and this part is going out to the sea. So this is the entrance to the city of Singapore. It's been dammed up, and it took, I guess, at least 10 years for this water to be changed from brackish water, sea water, to now clear, clean water.